Unicorns Talk is a weekly podcast where we discuss the ups and downs of the human experience, from personal growth to romantic relationships and everything in between. This show is for life livers, life lovers, and life enhancers. My name is Latrice Sampson Richards, your life enhancement coach, and together we're going to laugh, love, and learn to maneuver all of life's little messes. Let's go. Hey everybody, this is Latrice Sampson Richards. I am a licensed professional counselor, a certified life purpose and relationship coach for Black women who are ready to heal from their past and build a future that they deserve. You are tuned in to episode 20 of Unicorns Talk podcast, and I am super duper excited to have y'all here today. Super duper, y'all. Like, that's extra excited if you didn't know, okay? This week has been really hectic. For those of you who tune in every single week, you know that this episode is late, but I am just glad to be able to get it out to y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. This week has been really crazy. But I'm doing what I got to do to make sure that I show up for y'all and do whatever I can to help y'all to be able to move your lives forward. So I'm here. I'm a little late, y'all. Please forgive me. But I am here. We've really been gearing up for Vision 2018. And I'm going to be giving y'all some information about that. I am really excited about it. I'm very proud of the work that's going into that. And I finally have some more concrete information to be able to pass along to y'all. And so in the spirit of preparing for Vision 2018, we have been talking the last couple weeks about laying the foundation that's necessary in order to be able to manifest our vision. And so today, I'm really going to talk about one of those foundational principles that nobody ever wants to talk about, and that's self-trust or the lack thereof, okay? So I'm going to give you some information about what self-trust is, how self-trust, inhibits our ability to manifest and kind of attacks our thought process as we attempt to manifest. And then I'm going to give you some tips and pointers on a few things that you can do on your own in preparation for vision manifestation that can help you to kind of start getting your thought process and your mindset aligned with what it is you say you want to accomplish in your life, okay? So some tips to jumpstart your healing process. After that, today's high five is a big one, y'all. It's a good one. It is to the entire, well, not the entire, but it's the state of Alabama, okay? The state of Alabama. We're going to talk about that and definitely giving them a high five today. And then let's see what else I have for y'all. Seriously, so I don't know if y'all remember a couple weeks ago I was saying like I wanted to add another segment, and I think I called it something like have several seats or something like that. But I was like, no, that don't even feel right because that's like, Tamar thing or whatever. But I really came up with something that I say all the time, and I'm sure a gazillion people say it as well. But whenever somebody is doing something or says something that I just think is completely out of line, my response tends to be, seriously? Like, for real? Okay, so that's what I'm calling this segment, y'all. It is going to be called Seriously. And today's seriously goes to all of the Simone Biles haters out there, specifically the hair haters. So I'm going to give y'all some information about that, and I'm going to read for the gods, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so, before I get started, let me make sure that I let you know, if you have not done so yet, please subscribe, like, follow, share, whatever, retweet, all of that good stuff, comment on iTunes, on SoundCloud, anywhere that you can listen to the podcast, definitely on Spotify now, which is a big deal. I'm super excited about being on Spotify, also on Google Play now. nowadays. I'm working on getting on iHeart. I haven't heard back from iHeart. I hope that's not a bad sign. I need to check in with them and see what's up with that. But, please like, share, subscribe, download, do everything that you can. Let the people know that you enjoy this show and pass this information along. Okay? All right, so now moving on. Today we're going to be talking about self trust. And, as I was preparing for Vision 2018, I put a lot of thought into breaking down what the root cause of a lot of people's difficulty is when it comes to manifesting their vision. A lot of the people that I work with, they say that the struggle is even bigger than just not being able to manifest the vision, but on a much deeper level, it's not even understanding what the vision is, or not even having an idea of what the vision is supposed to look like, not even being able to fathom the idea of vision creation. Okay. And so I wanted to go all the way down to one of these basic building blocks, which, when I thought about it, what can lead a person to struggle to even create a vision for themselves. And I think it really comes down to self-trust. I was working with my business coach actually, and she's the one that really helped me to narrow that down and really understand what that is. And I think it's a breakdown in self-trust. And so really quickly, definition of self-trust, or my definition of self-trust, is really your confidence in your ability to take care of your own needs. Okay, so self-trust is the confidence in your own ability to take care of your own needs, and this can be physically and emotionally. Okay, so this includes being aware of your thoughts and your feelings and expressing them, and being able to trust that, be confident in that, following your personal standards or your ethical code, being able to be assertive and stand up for yourself, stand up for what you believe in, knowing when you need to care for yourself first, so being able to say no to people, being able to protect your needs ahead of the needs of others, and not in a selfish, like a negatively selfish way, but I think a lot of us spend so much time doing stuff for other people to our own detriment. And so self trust is really a factor of trusting yourself to put your own needs ahead of the needs of others. Okay. And then also pursuing what you want without stopping or without limiting others. Okay. So really figuring out what it is that you want and pursuing it, putting your everything into it. This is what I'm doing. And I feel like I tell y'all this all the time, but I really mean it. This podcast, this whole experience, like my business and my Facebook page and Vision 2018, like everything that I have going on, all of this is me stepping out on faith and really trusting myself, to be able to take care of my own needs, and really going after my vision, going after and pursuing what it is I want without stopping. And I can't really say that I ever did that before. And it was largely because I did not trust myself, and a lot of us don't trust ourselves. I mean, we have been conditioned from birth, damn near. Okay, like we have been conditioned since children not to trust our own instincts and abilities. The very first stage in Erickson's developmental stages, like developmental life stages, is trust versus mistrust. So this is something that happens at the very beginning of our lives. We've been taught not to trust our own instincts. And life, a lot of times, once we start to experience life has taught us, for a lot of us, that it's dangerous to be who we are. And we experience that in the form of rejection. We experience that in the form of shaming. And we start to think that the world is untrustworthy, right? And ourselves included. We start to think that the world is untrustworthy. But in reality, what we're feeling is, I don't have enough faith in myself to know that I can handle it. right? And that's where this idea of the not enough syndrome, not blank enough, right? Brene Brown talks about this idea of enough a lot. You know, she talks about it often when it comes to vulnerability and shame and doubt and things like that. And I'm a huge fan of Brene Brown. I would love to just be able to talk to her and sit down with her and pick her brain, because the research that she did on vulnerability, specifically a TED talk that she gave, um, that I ran across when I was in the beginning stages of my journey, it literally changed my life. It gave me a different perspective. And so, so sidebar, if you want to watch that, which I highly recommend that you do, I might put a tag down in the description box. I'm going to go ahead and put, tag it, link it in the description box, or you can just go to YouTube and type in Brene Brown, Brene, Brene Brown, TED Talk, and she's in like a brown linen suit or something like that. Okay, it's a really amazing, amazing talk that she gives about the power of vulnerability, and I think it definitely changed my life, and I've actually used it in my sessions with clients, and I know that they've been impacted by it as well. So do yourself a favor, okay? Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So we have been conditioned since children, and like this idea of I am not enough, right? Like I am not blank enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not clever enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. All of these different enough, right? Like these different descriptors that could go into that blank. Because of these negative internal thoughts, we begin to manifest more opportunities to validate the notion that we are not enough. And so, what I mean by that is, we talk a lot about the law of attraction, right? And how what you put out into the universe in the form of your thoughts, the universe has no choice but to return that back to you in form of manifestations and opportunities, right? And so when what you are putting out is negative, 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 I'm not enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm never going to be able to do this, I'm not trustworthy, I'm bad at math, I'm bad at, I say that for the kids that I work with at the school. I'm bad at math, I'm bad at English, I'm bad at whatever it is, right? I'm bad at finances, I'm horrible at relationships, I'm not enough, right? When you constantly put that negativity and speak in those negative terms about yourself into the universe returns and returns to you the manifestations and opportunities that validate that you are not enough. Okay, so it's more opportunities for you to fail, more opportunities for you to feel inadequate, more opportunities for you to say, see, I told you I wasn't shit. I told you I couldn't do it, right? So eventually, what happens is the trust is broken with your inner self, right? Because there's still some part of you that really, really wants it to not be true. There's still some part of you that hasn't given up. But your perception is that life and the world has told you over and over and over and over and over again that you ain't shit. So you start to believe it, you start to internalize it, and that trust gets broken. All right. There's a lot of different ways that this mistrust of self gets motivated, right? What it looks like in real life is I don't trust myself to make healthy relationship decisions, because every time I choose someone or I choose to be in a relationship with someone, I end up being hurt. Every time I let my guard down and let somebody in, and I think that this is going to be a different one, he's going to be different, she's going to be different, right? Every time I open myself up thinking that this time is going to be different, I end up getting hurt. Maybe I'm not smart enough to make these kinds of decisions. Maybe I'm just not meant to be in a healthy relationship. Maybe that's just not for me, right? It also looks like I don't trust myself to make good financial decisions because all I'm doing is building up more and more debt, getting more and more in debt, living paycheck to paycheck. I make goals, but I never follow through with my financial goals. I can't buy a house. I can't buy a car. I could barely afford this bus ticket, right? I got to choose between buying tampons and buying food, which let me tell you, one of my personal life experiences that kickstarted my own journey was having to make that exact decision. That exact decision. I had to choose between buying tampons and paying rent. You see what I'm saying? That's where I was 5 years ago. And, the trust was completely broken. I was afraid of making poor choices. I was afraid. I didn't know where to start in terms of rebuilding my financial situation. I didn't know what to do. I literally had to start from scratch. Okay. So when you find yourself in situations like that and these things keep happening over and over, the trust is broken between your inner spirit, which is the essence of who you are, and your logical spirit, which is really more like your processing center. All right. And that is having a negative impact on how you perceive your life, and it has a negative impact on what and how you manifest. All right. It's all connection. It's all connected. It causes me to doubt myself, doubt my ability to manifest, my ability to choose, my relationships, and ultimately my worthiness of happiness. I start doubting all of those things, which then again leads to poor decision making. And again, validation that I am not enough. All right. So it's kind of like this vicious cycle that repeats itself over and over and over again. And most of the time, you don't even realize that you're doing it. You're just living. And a lot of times, many of us just believe that like this is just the way it is. This is just how it is. Until one day you look up and you are absolutely miserable, completely miserable and unfulfilled in your life. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you want to be. You don't know what direction your life is going, or you have no direction for your life. You're lacking in strong, close interpersonal relationships. Your romantic relationships are either unfulfilling or non-existent altogether, right? Your finances are a hot ass mess. All right. I believe, though, that sometimes miserable is the best place that you could find yourself because it forces you to do something different. Okay. Think of miserable as bottom of the barrel, right? Rock bottom, as they say in the addictions world. Right? And I say this because I have been there before. I have been there before. Unfulfilled in almost every major life area: career, relationship, finances, spirituality, health, wellness, right? Just unfulfilled, miserable. Maybe not in each one of those life categories or life areas, but I would say, two or three or more, right? Miserable. The healing process has to begin before you can move on to manifestation, okay? And that's why I say miserable is the best place that you can find yourself. Because when you reach a certain level of discomfort in your life, when you reach a certain level of what the fuck is going on right now in my life, okay, you start trying to seek out what's going on. Well, I always say you're going to do one of two things. So either you're going to start seeking out what's going on, what needs to change, what do I need to do to get on the other side of this, or you give up and you resolve yourself to, you know what, this just how life is, and I'm just going to be miserable for the rest of my life. My mama was miserable. My grandma was miserable. Every woman in my family is miserable. Why am I any different? Right? And it's not hard to give up. Actually, it's not easy to give up because it actually leads to a very hard and difficult life. But I say it's not hard to give up because we get so overwhelmed with the prospect of everything that needs to go into turning this thing around, right? Turning this thing around, the idea of it, the sheer amount of things that needs to happen, just the reality of what needs to happen, it can make us feel, it can be daunting. It can be very, very daunting. Okay? And I think that, the healing process has to begin before you can move on to manifestation. All right? You might be able to manifest a few things in your life, but they are not going to last. Not unless you do the real work to be able to keep them in your life. We talked about vibrating at a higher frequency. If you are not doing the work to change your vibration, if you are still miserable, if you are still in a negative state of mind with no hope, no faith, no plan, no nothing, no support system, no nothing, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to hold on to the things that you bring into your life that are positive. Okay? So it has to start with healing. And that begins with the healing of the trust and the relationship that you have with yourself. Okay? Every other life area, finances, interpersonal relationships, romantic relationships, career, health, wellness, spirituality, every other life area, every single life area comes back to the relationship with self. Okay? So you have to start there. And you have to intentionally rebuild that connection. You have to intentionally heal the trust that has been broken over time. All right? Here's the thing. Trust is a skill. And I always get excited about that, like whenever I hear skills, right? Because as a skill, it can be taught and it can be learned. And anytime I have an opportunity to learn something different, I feel like that is a pretty good damn day, all right? So trust is a skill. All right. It's not easy, but it is absolutely doable, especially when you have a community that is supportive and someone to guide you through the process, someone who is knowledgeable about what it is that you need to guide you through the process. All right. And this is exactly the focus of my closed Facebook group, Trust Village. All right. And I founded this group for this purpose. Like the whole purpose of Trust Village is to be a safe place for healing and manifestation. I want this to be a community of women who are there with the same intention, needing and providing support for one another in a safe place, okay? And I founded this group on the values that are necessary for healing, things like loyalty, respect, friendship, authenticity, right? Security, longevity. These are all of the things that I needed as I was moving through my journey of healing my trust within myself, healing my relationship with myself. And I believe that, these are integral parts of the healing process for anybody that's embarking upon this journey. All right? So, here's a few tips to help you to kind of jumpstart your healing process. The first tip is to avoid people who undermine your self-trust, right? Basically, choose better people. I say this all the time to my clients, to the kids that I work with at the school. I'm always telling them, choose better people, okay? You definitely want to stay away from or limit the amount of time and energy that you put into people who make you question your values. use, people who make you feel less than or feel like you're not enough, right? People who don't respect your boundaries, people who don't or cannot cheer for you, right? It's not always that people don't want to cheer for you. It's sometimes that they just can't. They cannot cheer for you because seeing you be successful reminds them of their own stagnation. All right? You may not necessarily need to like get rid of these people altogether, right? Because sometimes these people are, it's just not that easy. It's not that easy because we might be talking about family members. You might be talking about your mama. That might be your sister. That might be your best friend that you've been friends with since you're 3 years old, right? It's not so easy to just get rid of these people and cut them out of your life. But what you can do is recategorize them, right? Put them in a different category based on how they interact with you. And this is one of the lessons that, that we're going to learn during the my upcoming masterclass, right? Empower Your Vision. Right? We are talking about how to, the things that you need to do, the things that you need to learn in order to give you the best opportunity to to manifest your vision, right? To manifest your vision. Okay. So, and I'll give y'all, I'm trying not to like get way off topic, but I'm so excited about Empower Your Vision and I work so hard on it, but I'm trying to stay focused on the topic at hand, okay? So that's the first tip. The first tip to jumpstart your healing process. You want to avoid people who undermine your self-trust. Choose better people. The second tip that I have for you is to keep your promises to yourself, okay? Expectations play a major role in trust, not just trust with yourself, but trust in general. All right. When you make promises, you're setting expectations. All right. And when you renege on those promises, you basically fail to meet those expectations. And as a result, you experience an onslaught of negative emotions. Okay. And I'm definitely going to go into that in a lot more detail during Empower Your Vision. But what I want you to get from this today, though, is that you want to make sure that you are setting appropriate expectations from the very, very start. And yes, there is a process to setting appropriate expectations. And yes, that will also be covered in the masterclass, okay? But keep those promises. Set appropriate expectations for yourself. Set appropriate promises to yourself and keep those promises. Do everything that you can to keep those promises. And eventually over time, the trust will start to rebuild. Okay? It's a process. And yes, this is the oversimplified version of this. But start trying to wrap your mind around the idea of that and what that looks like in reality in your life. Okay? And then the third and final tip that I have for y'all today is, be nice to yourself. Just be nice to yourself. If you wouldn't say it to a 5-year-old child, don't say it to yourself. We are so mean to ourselves. And a lot of the things that we say in our own heads about our abilities, I think it would be downright considered bullying, okay? Words have meaning, both literally and figuratively. The way you speak to yourself really shapes the way that you feel about yourself, all right? So make an effort to speak kindly to yourself and to do it more often. We're going to make mistakes. We're not always going to get things right. But you know what? I tried. I did my best. And this is the lesson that I take from it. Okay, so be nice to yourself. All right, so those are the 3 tips that I have for you to jumpstart your healing process. Like I said, all of these things are definitely included in a lot more detail in the Empower Your Vision 2018 Masterclass, and I'm super excited about that. But if you can just start with these 3 tips, it gets you on the path toward the healing and the manifesting. All right. Okay, so that's it for today's primary topic. Coming up next is high five. All right. Today's high five goes to the state of Alabama. The state of Alabama elected Democrat Joy Jones as their new senator, making him the first Democrat to be elected to the U.S. Senate in the state of Alabama in 25 years, which is, I'm not even going to lie, it's fucking ridiculous. But I am happy that the Alabamians got their shit together and did what they needed to do. Jones beat accused child predator Roy Moore with a 49.92 percentage of the vote. Roy Moore ended up with 48.38 percentage of the vote. And of course, you know that Moore is asking for a recount and he refuses to concede the election because that's what Republicans do when they lose. Or not even Republicans. I'm not even going to say that because you know why? I feel like that's an overgeneralization, and I don't think that that's fair. So I apologize for saying that and putting that out there. But that's what people do when they refuse to accept reality, right? You ever meet somebody that's fighting reality, kind of like a child? Right, like a baby that's scared to go to sleep and they fighting their sleep and they just running into tables and rubbing their eyes and they woozy and they can't barely stand up. But man, I bet you I ain't going to sleep. I ain't gonna miss what's going on. Right, fighting the reality that sleep is inevitable. Sleep is inevitable. Mr. Roy Moore, it is inevitable. You have lost. Concede and bow out gracefully. Okay, so high five to the state of Alabama. This win actually knocks the Republican control of the Senate down to 2 seats. Okay, so right now it's at 51 to 49, which means if they lose one more seat, then it's a tie vote, which would have to be broken, I believe, by the vice president. Don't quote me on that. I was a psychology major, not a poli-sci major, so I'm not 100% sure. And so, this is a really, really big deal. High five to the state of Alabama for making sure that you show the rest of the world that you got some damn sense. Because I don't know about everybody else, but I was starting to question it. I ain't even gonna lie. Okay, so that is my high five for today. And today's new segment, the first installation of this new segment, seriously, goes to Simone Biles's hair haters. Okay, say that 10 times fast. Simone Biles's hair haters. So, Olympic gymnast Simone Biles, let me say, 5-time gold medal winner Olympic gymnast Simone Biles. She was named as an honorary cheerleader for the Houston Texans, which is her home team. Simone, I'm not gonna hold that against you. Okay, hashtag who dat. So anyways, Simone shared photos of practice where she was practicing for her honorary game, and she posted those photos on Twitter, and people started dragging her because her hair was a little messy. And now, this is not the first time that we've seen something like this happen, especially on Twitter. They did the same thing to Gabby Douglas during, gold medal winning Olympic gymnast Gabby Douglas during the 2012 and 2016 Olympics. And so here's what I have to say to all of those haters, those hair haters out there. When you are out here changing the world, making history, and living your best life, it does not matter what your hair looks like. I think the obsession with keeping up appearances in the Black community, specifically as it relates to Black women's hair in this case, I think that's a product of respectability politics and this notion that you have to look a certain way in front of white people in order to be respected. And I think that is antiquated and it is self-defeating, because meanwhile, Bill Gates has been wearing the same damn sweater for the last 30 years. He doesn't feel the need to go above and beyond to show anybody that he deserves respect. He commands respect because of who he is and the accomplishments that he has attained. So why should it be any different for black people and black women in particular? Okay? So to anybody out there who got something to say about Simone Biles' hair, Gabby Douglas's hair, or anybody's out, any black woman that's out here trying to do something with their life, hair, get over yourself and get over her hair. You need to really do some work on healing yourself so that you can focus on manifesting your best life. Because guess what? Simone is. And that's all I have to say about that. Okay. All right. So that is the show for y'all today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said earlier, I do have a little bit of information for y'all on the upcoming masterclass finally. So as you heard me say earlier, the masterclass is called Empower Your Vision. Okay. And so I am really excited about just putting this forth. I feel like this is going to be a really dynamic experience, not just for y'all but for me as well, because I feel like this program is going to touch a lot of lives, and I think that it's going to help a lot of people who have been underserved in this market. Like the self-help market is huge. We all know that. But I think that based on my experience in terms of going through my own journey, and based on my experience in terms of working with clients who are similar to me or going through similar things, there is a subset of us in terms of this population that we are being significantly overlooked. And I think that though our needs need to be addressed. When I was going through my journey, a lot of it was like figuring things out. And because I am a licensed professional counselor and a life coach, I think I'm in a unique position to be able to take in that information and kind of, do something with it, like apply it to my life. But the average person is just, not as astute in terms of making that transition. And so this Empower Your Vision masterclass is really about helping you to bridge the gap. Okay, so the 2018 masterclass is going to be available starting on January 4th, and it's going to come with a workbook. I'm working on a workbook with some infographics and some worksheets to help you move through the process and implement these changes and things like that. And there's going to be a whole lot of more additional, like really valuable resources, and I'm going to announce those later as we get closer to that date. Okay, so in preparation for the launch of the 2018 masterclass, I am going to do a free live stream on my Facebook page. Well, it's not on my Facebook page. It's actually going to be inside of my closed Facebook group. All right, and that's going to be every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be exclusively inside my closed Facebook group, which means that you need to become a member and get added to the group so that you can get this information. So the name of the group is Trust Village, a safe space for healing and manifestation. I did the first live stream already this week, actually yesterday. I did the first live stream on how to set SMART goals, and I really break down for you what it means to set a SMART goal. SMART is an acronym, and I really go into some good detail about what it means to set some SMART goals. And then next week, we're going to be talking about how to turn your weaknesses into strengths. Okay, so you're going to use your trial and make it your triumph. Hallelujah. Yes, yes. So you'll be able to find a link in the description box for so that you can click on the link and request to join the Facebook group. And please do that. I'm listen, I am really excited about the direction that this program is going in, and all of the work that I put into it. I really believe that this is going to be dynamic and it's going to be helpful. Inside the group, we also have like daily discussions, which are designed to help you in rebuilding your trust and healing, but then also designed to help you in terms of manifestation. So we're working on those two things together. Like I said earlier, the healing needs to begin before the manifestation can take place, right? But the healing is a process. And so the healing is not like, okay, I'm healed now, and so now I can do manifestation. They can happen at the same time, but the healing has to start first because you have to get to a certain mindset before you can attempt to manifest. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be completely healed with no issues, no scars. I've been working on myself for a while and I don't have zero scars, okay? But what it does mean is that, you have to start that process of healing and get yourself in a better mind frame, a better mindset to be able to manifest, okay? And the healing continues. You're just adding the manifestation efforts on top of that, all right? And so all of that, and this entire group is designed to give you the support that you need, the guidance that you need, the accountability that you need, the safe space that you need in order to be vulnerable. We do activities in there. The live streams are in there. I'm thinking about adding a weekly Q&A session in there so that y'all can have direct access to me and ask any questions that you might have. Of course, you can also send your questions to me via email at unicornstalkpodcast at latricesampsonrichards.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at unicornstalkpod. And oh yes, I have a Facebook page now, y'all, for the podcast. So Unicorns Talk Pod, and I'm actually working on getting the podcast loaded up on YouTube as well. And so big things popping over here. Make sure you click the link in the description box and request to join the Facebook group, and I would love to have you. That's all I have for y'all today. As usual, please make sure that you like, share, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, where else? TuneIn, Stitcher. We're everywhere. Castbox, which is where I listen from. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, and be well.